We're down here in Richmond, Virginia for ODO. Flew in last night, relatively easy trip. And then just got our breakfast at Waffle House this morning. So we're on the way. Really looking forward to the show this year. Haven't been able to go to anything recently up our own way. Missed a bunch this past fall and winter because of the new baby and stuff. So I'm looking forward to kind of being back out and about, seeing some hopefully cool models, talking to some people about some cool builds, maybe learn a thing or two. And yeah, I'm just excited in general. Yes.
Ready and very right.
Apparently I just look like I'm going to a model show.
Apparently. He clocked you real fast.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy's not going to the other thing, whatever else is going on today.
So usually we're in through one of these entrances here. It's like this building here, maybe.
Really?
All right.
61 sci-fi and robot figures.
61.
Yeah.
They're not all. There's a Gundam category though.
They're not Gundams though.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my second page. Okay, so what are they all?
I think they're all 61 sci-fi and robots.
You are number 222. There you're 4.
Okay.
There's a wristband for you.
All
You're
right.
all set.
Great. Thank you. Most likely by noontime, this table's going to be like full.
Did you bring something this year?
Yeah, my stuff's over in the sci-fi figure robot. I haven't finished much of anything recently, so I got a couple that are like work in progress. I just still need a weather and decal, and also it's the only time I'll probably ever have something with a gloss coat on it on a table because it's, you know, at that phase. But I was like, I need to bring something.
I brought a submarine. It's the little 1/72 trumpeter kit. It's like red and white when you go by.
Okay.
It's a manned submersible for like deep sea diving. It's right in the front on that little wooden base.
Okay.
It's the second deepest diving submersible on the planet. It's for like, you know, just exploration.
Yeah. That's got to be a super old toy. Matchbox, ages 5 and up. That looks like it's from like the 70s or something. What do you have on the table? You guys say your desk side.
Yeah, I got my desk side, and then the Freedom next to it's mine.
Okay.
I'm judging the other side, so they might just sit on the table and look cool. We have 2 judge teams this year, so we're kind of mixing it up a little bit.
Where's the 5th category at?
It's on this table over here.
Oh, okay.
There's only like 1 or 2 in it so far.
I'm like super curious how things are going to split out that way, because there were a lot with really cool bases last year.
Yeah. I have a chat with the judges team, and we all kind of decided that like wood bases and like simple displays are just normal category, but
yeah. Right, because it doesn't really add anything other than framing and build. It's right. Right, because most of the ones that won last year had pretty solid bases, so does that like pull the top tier of competition to that category?
That's
like
kind of what we're hoping.
It almost feels like it becomes like the expert category in a lot of ways. These 3. So this one I did years ago, but I haven't finished anything recently really because of the baby and stuff.
Cool, yeah.
So I did that a long time ago. These are technically work in progress, which is the only reason you're seeing something that's gloss coated for me on a table, because I'm not big on gloss. But they're like at that phase before panel line decal. I'm doing 4 of them, and I got a diorama base I'm building. So
yeah, I look forward to that.
They're all like slightly they're pretty cool. And I ended up covering all the holes, because the 3mm peg holes, they're great for customization, but they don't look great once you're built.
It's like they look cool, but there's holes in them.
And I was like struggling forever. How do I cover these things?
What are these?
They're 30-minute mission submachines.
Oh, okay.
So like they're like cool, like half flip. They look like a really cool.
They're like a battle.
Yeah. They look very more like real robot, like whatever. So I got all 4 of them. I got one's basically stock. I got one with it's the MSG. That's like a missile pod. There's another one with a different kind of missile pod, like a radome. And then the 4th one, I put one of those 30-minute mission backpacks on it that looks almost like the Gundam ground type backpack.
Oh, cool.
So it's like the, you know.
I want to do something with one of those on my.
Yeah, they're really cool. So I was like, well, I'm going to put all these together. And so I just cut out a bunch of little squares out of polystyrene to plot plate those up and cover them all up.
I mean, it matches. I like them.
I found out in doing it what the tolerances are on the chop it and those kind of tools, because I'm like trying to cut the strip and then chop it up.
Do you have the chopper?
I got two of them. I got this will duplicate it and the chopper or something, or chop it or whatever. So one lets you score along lines. It's like a fence. It's like a cutting fence and then a piece that you can slide. So you could scribe through it, or I just put the piece in, and it's like I need everything to be 4 millimeters wide. So I have it set. It's like that big. So you could basically put your sheet into it, clamp everything down, and just snap. And then
I just use like a T-square, and I'm like, hope for the best.
Yeah, so I could use that to cut it, and then I would take the strip, and I had the chopper one set up, so that way I had the gate, so I just push it up to a chop, push up to a chop. But there's play in that arm. It's not super precise. So it's like you get the pieces and be like,
I've heard some people say they'll put a little piece of styrene in with the blade.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it.
A lot of it with build process is just trial and error. You learn over the years with stuff. Occasionally you have parts break or anything like that. You fix it where you can. You don't know what you can do until you try it.
Sure.
And then it gets easier over time. Like, I personally do not like water slides.
Okay.
But doing the Delphi holographic water slides for this Exia that I've got here, it's the one thing I did try. Let's see. I don't know how well it'll show up, but
Cool, you got
yeah, I found a glow-in-the-dark UV paint company called Glowfix.
Okay.
I saw that and I was like, you know what? That's a really cool idea. I stole it from Burial Gunpla.
Okay.
And everything, because he's got an Alex that he did UV paint on, which I thought was really cool. And I was like, you know what? I want to try that with an Exia, because I guess I'm an Exia stan.
This die-cast frame, what's that all about?
It's a third party. The Taichung metal frame, it helps with the ankle stability. It's one of those things that, like, because everybody complains about the MG Exia's ankles and it just flopping over, which it does, because I've built the Exia now probably 6 or 7 times. I cannot recommend that frame enough. Like,
okay,
it's
so it helps with all those.
If you you could just barely pick it up if you wanted to, Nick.
I don't want to.
It's got some weight.
I will butterfinger it if I pick it up today.
Like, it's got some weight to it, so it's definitely not going to go anywhere.
Did you put a top coat over the hollow?
Yeah. Actually, it was semi-gloss. I did a semi-gloss top coat over it because I was afraid, gloss would make it shine too much. Matte might take the hollow completely out of the decal.
It definitely does. I tested them when I was using some on a build. I took a few spares and tried different top coats, and I was like, yep, matte's out. That's completely different.
And the thing is, I love matte. I love the look of matte. It makes it look more like a war machine than, a model.
Right.
But the semi-gloss, I thought about it, and it's you can see it just a little bit if the light hits them just right. I've never gone to this extent with trying to do one, so I figured, why not? If I'm going to go all the way to Richmond, I may as well take something that I've never done.
You took a drive, right? Where are you from?
Down in Huntsville, actually, Alabama.
Okay.
So it's like a 9.5-hour drive up here.
Yeah, it's not a short trip.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's just like, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
it's worth it.
My name's Nick LaPrade, Nickel Models on the Instagrams. I've been building for 10 plus years, painting competitively, 10 plus years. This is my 5th, 6th ODO. I generally run the Gundam stuff around. I run it in RVA anyway. I manage the RVA group, and then I'm the vice president of the Southside IPMS group here in Richmond. I built this MGSD Freedom here the end of last year. I built it for the Cerulean Project, the big book that goes around every year. The theme of that particular book was green. I had 2 other builds that I was trying to push through for that, and I wasn't feeling them, I didn't get it. And then that kit came out, and the MGSD line it's a really phenomenal line, it's really beautiful. The articulation on the kits is really phenomenal, and the fact that they were able to crunch all that down into such a small package is really great. So I just fell in love with the model. And I had all the colors on this plan for the other thing I was going to make, and I decided, whatever. Because they just put out that real type colors for the Freedom, and it was the same colors I was going to use, so I figured, what the heck. I basically just mixed everything up. Most of the crazy teal colors are Jump Wind. They're a lacquer paint line. The big thing I really wanted to try to get with the model, though, paint aside, is the display images for the models have like a texture on them. It's like a digital texture.
Yeah.
It's like
you have to really get up close to kind of see them. I don't know if you can see them in this light, but it's kind of a patterning that I had to shoot through Scotch-Brite. I had to shoot it through Scotch-Brite. So I had to tear the Scotch-Brite long ways and get it really thin and then spray paint through it, airbrush through it.
Did you put it close to the model?
Yeah, I basically had to put it right on top.
Okay.
It was really nerve-wracking at first, but if you use just one side of the Scotch-Brite and keep the other side clean, it sprays pretty. If you do it with lacquer, it's not a problem because it dries so fast.
Right.
But it was able to get that kind of funny texture, and then if I painted on top of it, it kind of faded it in. And it gave it a really cool effect.
Cool.
The green and the yellow is definitely more bold than some of the other colors.
Yeah.
But it turned out pretty well. I had some problems with some paint layering later on where it kind of cracked and did a bunch of stuff. But it came out okay. I'm pretty happy with it. And then the other thing that I brought was my HG P Bandai Death Scythe Hell. I used a lot of fluorescent paints in that, so when you hit it with a black light, it kind of lights up and glows. All the yellow paints, they're really bold and bright.
Right.
Because I'm really into trying to get bright, really, really bright colors on my models as best I can.
Right.
So that's kind of the big draw of that, is I really wanted to get those bright yellows and those bright fluorescent greens, so they look like they glow without being like.
So how'd you get that like gradient, like beam effect on the beams?
Okay, yeah. So the beam effect, I basically painted the whole thing just a flat white.
Okay.
And then I went over it with a fluorescent green and faded it down until it was white, and then I went back over with a little more white just to push the green back.
Yeah.
And it gives it that pop. And if you hit it with a black light, it glows like a beam
cool.
weapon.
That's cool.
And the eyes, I did the same thing. I just kind of topped them with the clear effect. And it's basically the same thing I did on the yellow. It's just not as bold. And then I faded a bunch of paints into the black, so it has that kind of wine, rusty, weird reflection color.
Yeah.
I'm also really happy with that one. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the Ultron when it comes out. I want to do something really similar to it. So.
Cool.
I'm Ryan, or Mean Mug Gunpla online. Also with Gunpla and the Goonies podcast, where we talk a lot about Gunpla and Gundam-related stuff. This year I brought 1/100th Master Grade Ball and Witch for Mercury Demi Trainer that I did a little bit of work on. I didn't come competition ready this year. I know I learned a lot last year, what judges look for, like seam line removal, silvering on decals, make sure you have a clean top coat, and obviously the paints and all of that. So I definitely came with as much as I could, but I didn't come necessarily with the mindset I'm going to compete. I just want to participate more so this year, which is always good. It was cool as a challenge because I hate the color green. So I was like, all right, let's paint with green this time. The base comes with it, but try to add to it as much as possible, give the base a little bit of flair, because a little bit, I think, goes a long way with some of these bases, as you can see.
The Gunman, the past 2 years, they have taken off.
We're coming for you.
They are.
The other thing I brought was the 1/144th Demi Trainer from the Witch of Mercury line, which is I don't know, some of the coolest stuff Bandai is doing now. I feel like you could almost see the 30-minute missions inspiration and how a lot of those kits will work together. And there is a handful of kit bashes over there. It's a blue and white one, and then I threw a little Char Commander fin on there, so you could kind of be, the leader of the demis. But yeah, I'm excited to play that line a lot more. So yeah, just kept it really simple with that one for this time around.
Cool. Any particular challenges with that one? I mean, that line's been really good. I haven't painted anything from Witch of Mercury yet, but I've snap built a bunch of them. And
I feel like the biggest challenge, honestly, was it's almost an overwhelming amount of opportunity with it. There's just so many of the pieces fit together so well from different sets, and they really, even with the Demi Trainer, they have set holes in it. I don't know what size they are, but you really can easily kit bash those or add on to those.
Right.
So it's almost keep it. I always say KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I try to use the KISS method sometimes, but that was probably the biggest. And then I was actually my first painted 1/100th scale, so it was fun to try something in a larger scale and really enjoy doing that. We'll definitely be doing more of that in the future. It's just a lot harder to put together, but a lot easier to paint.
This is my second year at ODO. Because they have no cap, I ended up bringing 6 kits this year. My style's mostly hand-painted stuff. I don't have airbrush. I usually do rattle cans or hand painting. The one I'm the most proud of is the kawaii Hello Kitty this year. It's a style not a lot of people do.
It definitely stands out.
I have to heap praise on everybody that does that style, because it's so tedious putting on all the little gems and pearls and everything. that probably took me the longest out of everything. Like decals are cool, whatever. Everybody can take their time, but having those little pearls rolling around was insane.
How many did you drop?
I probably lost half my pack just in my carpet, like super gluing my fingers together, trying to get the rhinestones on there. Other than that, I did a Zaku with the railroad buildings, like the N-scale railroads. Then I kind of found one that was the right scale to go for 144, and kind of paired it up to be like a hobby shop kind of building.
Right.
The Zaku's protecting the hobby shop. And learned a lot with that, like trying to make fire out of cotton and using hedges and grass, like the static grass stuff.
Yeah, static grass is super cool.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before until last year. I tried to pick up a lot of tricks from the other, like the tank modelers and diorama people. And
It's so much respect for anybody who can hand paint and have it look halfway decent, because it's every hand painting thing I've ever tried. Like it's so hard to get things like brush strokes and smooth and have it like not look like it's hand painted.
This Hygog was originally my HBWC build. That was like my first time trying any sort of like textures and like the water and stuff.
What did you use for the water on that?
Something I found at like a Hobby Lobby. It was like a overnight setting resin water. And like regular glue for like the borders and stuff. That's hand painted too. Like Vallejo is usually what I use. That off-white is Tamiya rattle cans.
Which Vallejo line or lines?
Just their standard model color. For Tamiya, they're like TS plastics, I believe they're called. Plastic sprays. Like this Zaku is with the Tamiya spray.
And do you, when you use that hand painted, do you thin and stuff? What do you?
Cool thing about Vallejo is water. I just add drops of water till I get a consistency I like that will level out pretty good. It's not like streaky or anything. And that's what I do.
That's what kills me about it. Usually people are like, I thin it until it's what I want. It's like, I don't know how to, I can't translate what you want to what's on my palette or whatever in front of me.
That was the rough part is everybody I watched was like, just get it to where I like it. I get it to where I like it.
So you just got to try stuff.
You just got to figure it out. Like this is sprays and hand paint, like the gray and the black on there, all that's hand painted, but the greens are spray. Once it's top coated, everything kind of looks good together. So I usually will mix, sprays and hand painting together. These cars are just like model train stuff I found that fit the scale. And then I found out, like for the red one on the back, I found out you could bust them apart and just have kind of like a burned out car look.
My name is Ricky, and I go by Hoskin House on Instagram. And I have entered 4 of the main categories here today. Also, I did a sci-fi mech and robot build and a submarine build. I tried as a goal this year to focus on entering as many categories as possible as a builder, to just show up and represent my work in the best way possible, which is to spread it out to as many categories as I can. I feel like properly displays what I do on a yearly basis. This is basically like a year in review for me. Like the best of the best, what I think I can bring out and show to people that I'm proud of. Probably the one that was the most difficult for me this year was the 1/100 Master Grade gun tank. That kit is about 10 years old, I think. I love tanks, I love Gunpla, and I love the original series. It seemed like a win-win-win. That kit is actually really, really, really good for the age. The tracks are notoriously bad. Everybody that wants to build one probably already knows that, or if you built one, you definitely know that. The tracks, you can get around them. Bandai has done a good job making a realistic looking track. They just don't really work putting them together and staying together. So it actually fell apart one last time today trying to put it on the table. So I was able to get it in such a way that it was fine. I wanted to bring a gun tank because it's a kit you just don't see at competitions. It's not a popular kit. It's not even really a mobile suit. It's kind of one of the early transitional things from a mech working to a fighting into an actual Gundam at some point. So I thought it was a cool build to do and show up and do something different. Probably the one I'm most proud of is one I finished recently for the 1/100 grade non-UC. I did the Master Grade Ale Strike. And I actually did it in a tricolor scheme that represents World War II aircraft.
Okay.
Because the lines and the design, it's very angular.
Sure.
It's got wings on its backpack that look like a jet fighter.
Right.
So I wanted to bring those like military real type colors and aircraft aspect into it.
Right.
And kind of pay homage. We're coming up on the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and just kind of tie some of those things together.
Sure.
And it really just works.
Yeah.
It was a color combination I wasn't sure about until I started putting it together, and I said, you know what, I think this will work.
Yeah.
And it actually turned out really well.
Cool.
The other ones, I brought a choo-choo demi trainer that I did in a custom color scheme, and I brought a messer. The messer I did basically just a repaint, really well pre and post shaded, based on the original Canon colors, because I love the messer.
Okay.
I love the color scheme as it is.
Yeah.
So I just did a tweak on that and kind of just highlight those colors, desaturate them a little bit, make it look, realistic, but also animated at the same time, if that makes sense. So it's like it's jumping out of the screen or off of the page and kind of into real life.
Right.
So that's about it. I did, for my mecha and sci-fi build, I did Bandai's new Scope Dog, which is a fantastic kit.
Yeah.
If you haven't built it and you don't know anything about Scope Dog, it's the perfect grunt suit. It's bulky, it's chunky, it's got rivets, it's great for weathering.
Yeah.
I put it in a winter scene with a little cat, so it's like a dog and cat kind of scheme, so they're like friends, and made a backstory.
Yeah.
And then for the first time this year, I did a submarine build because I wanted to do something way outside the box of Gundam. I had a 1/72nd scale trumpeter kit that I had gotten in the store, and I thought, why not? And it went together so lovely that I just put it in competition, and it was just a fun kind of reset build.
Just a couple of questions. So gun tank, someone was asking earlier about what the treads are, how they were put together. Is it articulated at all? What makes them so challenging?
They're individual links.
Okay.
So each link snaps together with the next, and that's where it's kind of poorly designed. It's nice that they make them individual, but the connection points are so small that they just don't stay together.
Gotcha.
When you maneuver it in any way, they just separate.
I see.
So it's kind of a nightmare to move. If you're sitting still, you're fine, but as soon as you go to move it, they want to come apart.
Gotcha.
So a little like glue, a little clever like placement of super glue to attach tracks at points to the road wheels.
Yeah.
So if it does separate, you're only separating in one spot instead of all of it coming off.
Yeah, just falling apart.
That's what I did.
Okay.
So just find a couple key points and just go ahead and anchor it to the wheels, and it's okay. It's just not a kit you want to maneuver around a lot.
How's it going? This is Coop at It's Coop on Instagram. Today with me I have a Dio, something I worked on last year. It's my GBWC build. It's a Shenlong. It was in the Leo with a gargoyle guard type of statue in the back, both high-grade Shenlongs. It was inspired from the scene from the intro of Gundam Wing, where you see Shenlong for the first time. It has like the temple, he's standing in there amongst the mist. I'm a big Dio person because I'm more of a toy photography, model kit photography, Gunpla photography type of person. So I wanted to do more Dios and I wanted to challenge myself, so I felt like this was something I was able to sit down and try to challenge myself on. I call it hollow grounds, where the Leo just stumbled upon a wrong place at the wrong time type of environment.
So this is like a textured paint?
Yeah, that's textured paint. If you want to touch it, you can. It's stone textured, light gray stone, gray primer, and put the stone texture over it. And over here I have mine. This is kind of to represent the Undergated Network. Undergated Podcast is the podcast I'm on. All three of ours. That's mine is in orange. I have Chloe's dad on Instagram. His is up front blue. And Austin Gunpla Tesseract. That's his GM Spartan. Just a representation. We wanted to represent the Undergated Podcast here at ODO. Us three coming together for the culture, the community, and just having something to represent the podcast on the table was definitely something we talked about on the podcast all year and wanted to make sure that we get it done.
Yeah.
I brought two SDs today. I brought the SD Command Gundam and I brought the SD Musha. The Command was airbrushed solely with Tamiya's.
Okay.
And then I decided to do something new for once, and I tried airbrushing with Gundam markers, getting that airbrush system, and it worked out really well. It was really easy to swap from one color to the other, and the only thing that was a little tricky was having to restart the markers every couple of seconds, just so that way there was ink, the paint on the tip. And then usually the tips did dry out pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I did have to end up getting 2 or 3 of the same color, just that way I had multiple. I think a lot of that was coming from having to do like a test spray, so that way it didn't splatter onto the Gundam. I'm really proud of how it came out because of how the gold is really reflective, really comes out great. And so same thing with the red. This was also my chance of trying to mask with the stickers a little bit. So like on the chest, I was able to put the sticker from the Gundam from the kit, mask that off, so I didn't have to worry about cutting it out.
Did you have any issues with the adhesive on the surface?
Thankfully not.
No?
I know that some people have that, but I think because of how well the Gundam marker sticks to the Gundam, I don't think I really had an issue.
Okay. That masking looks like it's tight. Like it's not. It looks good. That's like one of the things I got my magnet core to do, and a lot of the shoulders are the stickers. So it's like, how am I going to mask all 40 of those at some point?
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to figure out how to mass produce masks and not have to like hand cut them every single time. It's just going to be super time consuming.
If I probably did something other than the lacquer and the Gundam marker, I think I would have. I think I would have had issue with the adhesive. The only sticker that really on the kit himself is the eyes, because I'm not steady enough to do the eyes myself.
Yeah,
so I will accept that.
Style like eyes, those are kind of hard to. Did you use canned air or did you use a compressor for the?
I used a compressor. On that Gundam marker system, I actually got the different fittings so I could put it onto my compressor.
Today I brought in my Verka Master Grade Crossbone Gundam. I actually did a lot with this kit this time. I went ahead and I actually repainted the whole thing. I didn't use an airbrush. Everything on this was done by hand. So that was an interesting challenge, just to do something a little bit different, because right now I don't have an airbrush, but I still wanted to try something different. I was like, all right, let me just hand paint the whole thing. So a lot of this kit was based in Citadel Black. A lot of dry brushing went on top of that. And I really just wanted to have like, I don't know, like an escape theme, I guess. Like coming out of an explosion, it's going through the battle. I really enjoyed how I was able to do the smoke here. The thruster effects, I think you can buy those as builder parts. I painted those, that was really neat. And I really just went all in on like making sure there was damage here, making sure that looked really good. And overall, just, again, having fun with that kit. The core system in the back, it's not bad. I know some people told me like, oh man, you gotta watch out for that. It wasn't that bad. So honestly, even though it's a Verka and an earlier Verka with a transformation gimmick, it wasn't that bad. So I would still recommend the Crossbone Verka to anybody, yeah.
So you dry brushed most of it?
Honestly, I dry brushed most of it. This is the blue is originally black, so I just did a Citadel Black on top of that to like prime it, and then I just went with blues on top of it.
That's cool.
Same thing with the reds here. I think I did the same thing with the blue. I actually wound up, so there's usually a skull right here in the chest for the crossbone.
Yeah.
I actually took that out and I wound up putting it right up here on the mask part of it, just because I thought that would be an interesting detail to really push like the pirate crossbone theme of it.
Cool.
There's some tendons coming out, tendons. Some builder parts I put in there to kind of show like wiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I actually took, I think it's off of one of the Witch from Mercury kits, as a thruster. I just took it, modified it, and attached it as a buster.
Okay.
So a lot of like modifications went into it. Again, it was all hand brushed or dry brushing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's got me really curious because like hand brushing and getting a smooth, even finish is super hard, right?
Yeah.
And so this almost seems like a cheat code because it looks almost like it was airbrushed, but airbrushed with a little bit of shading and whatever.
And I really went. Cool. I didn't do heavy on the paint either with it. Like it was really all just built up dry brushing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I think maybe I would do different, I would try and maybe rework the base a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but I think I wanted it to be more dynamic.
Okay.
And incorporate it more. Like maybe I think I wanted to have maybe smoke like trailing off, like it's flying out of this.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something for next time.
I was curious when I saw this earlier. So it's got the thruster, so it looks like it's pushing this way. So is it stopping itself?
Yeah. Okay. So that's the other thing. Yeah. So
you
it's
almost
like
need something like behind it to represent that it needs to not be moving backwards.
I honestly
it looks like it's coming up and out that way.
Right.
It looks almost like it's trying to escape out this way, and then the thrusters are like, okay, I guess it's coming up.
Yeah. I probably really should have done more like. Let me see here.
You can angle
maybe more like that. Oh man. Well, yeah, no, you get the.
Like if there was something it was trying not to crash into.
Exactly.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So. But hey, you live and learn. You figure it out for next time.
It builds a learning opportunity to figure out
absolutely.
the next thing. So
And that's, again, why I love going out to these, because you can talk like, hey, what could I have done? What could be done? But, I mean, in terms of the build itself, I still like it. The base, that's where I'm going at now. I'm trying to get more dynamic bases with my kits.
Very cool.
I'm Nick. I go by Onion online.
Okay.
So, Nick, I'm Nick. Nick. We gotta find the other Nick. And then the other one, then we gotta go.
There's
Nick,
at least
Nick,
one
Nick.
or two more around.
Yeah, there's at least 4. Then we gotta go Nick. Yeah. So I entered these 2 strikes over here, and I have a left with GU on the other side. The main idea behind these was that I always noticed how like later versions in like the Gundam Seed series, when they have new equipment on, they change color. And then I kind of thought about like a video game, like, oh, when you change equipment, your stats change, color should change too. So I just picked them up and I was like, oh yeah, this one's going to be blue, this one's going to be that. That one was actually the hardest one I had.
Okay.
I like the more standardizedly. This look is just really nice to me.
Yeah.
It's really good.
There's like a few different shades of blue in there and stuff, and it's like there's just enough contrast to
I buy a lot of purple paint too, so I was like, oh my god, I finally get to use purple.
Yeah, my name's Austin. I brought 2 kits. I guess my main feature kit would be the Master Grade jig in there with the blue camo on it. That is actually all rattle canned. So it's not airbrushed. A lot of people think it's airbrushed when they look at it, but no, it's rattle canned. So it took a long time and a lot of patience and a lot of good weather. But yeah, no, it's pretty much a simple build. There's not too much customization. I added a generator onto a chest, some claw plate, an extra antenna. I'm also have my other 2 kits here. I have a 1/44th GM Moroccan front. It's the Origins version. That one is actually my first airbrush kit. So I purchased an airbrush back in September and been getting used to it, and that was a really fun build, so I'm just here to fill the table with that. But then as a bigger group, I'm part of another podcast group called the Undergated Network. So we're on YouTube, Spotify, if you want to check us out. It's me, Coop, and CD, but we have a little tri-diorama going here with essentially our GM masters of the universe type of setup. Every different color represented. Those were all fun builds that we all just kind of came together to make.
We're back in Boston, waiting for the bus, so I figured it's a good time to kind of recap the weekend and all that. So it was a great show. I think I got from it what I was hoping for. Definitely picked up a few techniques that I want to try to emulate and got some inspiration for things I want to do for future builds and things like that. Talked to a ton of great people, got to talk about a lot of people's builds, so looking forward to sharing a lot of that content if it didn't make it into the vlog itself. Also had a few good interviews, including one with George, who is the 2023 US representative for GBWC. He won the US championship for that. Got to look at some of his upcoming work and what he brought to the show, so that was really cool to kind of get a step into what that was like for him going to Japan to represent the US. And yeah, overall, I think it was a good weekend. I usually come away from events like this totally inspired and fired up, ready to get back to the workbench and start doing some more stuff. And this year was no exception. And I know I'm going to be trying to carve out more time when I get home to do more building. If you ever have an opportunity to go to an IPMS event, model show, anything like that, I highly recommend you consider it, especially if it's one at the level of something like ODO, because you'll meet a ton of interesting people, see a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully both build your knowledge and come back inspired from it. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one.